This is your Weather Extreme video for Saturday, September the 8th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and wow, this is the kind of forecast I've been waiting several months to bring you. Let's start off with some Skycam imagery this morning. There's Trussville, and just a beautiful shot as the sun is rising behind the clouds this morning, and we've got a little hole in there that's giving us a little bit of color. And there's a close-up of Birmingham, cloudy skies with the Vulcan pictured there. The big news is the cold front that is moving through Alabama this morning. And that cold front, this is the current position, and then this is where it's expected to be around 7 p.m. This evening. So we expect it to traverse the state throughout the day. In the upper atmosphere, of course, we're dealing with a sizable trough that is over the eastern half of the country with a number of little disturbances in them. You can see one coming through Missouri there, and then there's another one back upstream coming into Canada. Those are all going to help reinforce, coming out of Canada, I should say. Those are going to help to reinforce the cooler air and drier air. And boy, yeah, you can certainly see the change on the national temperature map this morning. Look at that, with 70s across the southeastern U.S. and 40s in Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin and the Dakotas. So very, very cool air, as fall is definitely in the air. A little bit closer to home, you can see that the temperatures are in the 70s across central Alabama, but we've had the wind shift is in northwest Alabama. You can see the front, pretty much the wind shift has occurred at Muscle Shoals. But as we go back, you can see the dew points are in the 50s back into Missouri. We're not expecting a great deal of rain today and very little rain after today, but most of this rain is what's occurred last night or will occur during the day today, for us anyway. And the Storm Prediction Center outlooking a moderate risk for New England and parts of New York, Pennsylvania, down into the mid-Atlantic states there around Washington, D.C. for severe weather today. Primary threat, of course, going to be that in the way of severe thunderstorms. And the tropics remain very active, although nothing is approaching land, so we're not going to go into a lot of details. The one in the Gulf has down to 10% now, and of course Leslie's still a tropical storm and Michael a hurricane, but they're away from land areas, although Leslie keeps threatening Bermuda over there. And then we have one coming off the African coast, but it's far enough north that probably will stay well out in the Atlantic. All right, let's take a look at modeling, and it's pretty cut and dried this morning. The front moves through. We've got showers, scattered showers, and they will be occurring. We may get a few post-frontal showers as the front comes through today, but since the wind shift is a little ahead and the dew points don't drop off until a little further, we may see a few isolated showers early this afternoon, but I think those will be fairly isolated and very minimal in the way of the amount of precipitation. But we see the sizable trough over the eastern half of the country, plus the GFS showing us a fairly substantial storm out there in the form of Leslie. Now, that translates underneath that to surface high pressure over Iowa, and that is bringing us a northerly flow and bringing the drier air down our way. Sticking with the surface map, the high slides Monday over into the Great Lakes area, and then on Tuesday it slides to the eastern Great Lakes, so we stay in that nice pattern. By Wednesday, just looking at the upper air real quick, we can see we're under a ridge, and the westerly is still a little bit up to the north of us, but of course we're going to stay primarily in the 80s. Do I dare say that we may have seen the last of the 90s? Well, it's possible. The surface high continues to migrate Wednesday over into the mid-Atlantic states. Going back to the upper atmosphere, the ridge migrates also, and you can see that the next trough is eating away at that ridge on Thursday. By Friday, the ridge is beginning to weaken that trough somewhat, but the ridge is dampening out. And then on Saturday, we see that the trough has moved over into the eastern Great Lakes, and that will be dragging another cold front, although it appears at this moment that it'll be relatively weak and provide us maybe a small chance for a shower on Friday or Saturday. I think right now I'm tending towards the Saturday time frame. And then finally, going out into voodoo country, we continue with the cooler look around the end of September with another possible tropical storm, hurricane out in the Atlantic, as well as that nice deep trough over the eastern half of the country, providing us with some cooler and drier weather. Well, thanks for tuning into the Weather Xtreme video. I expect to have the next one posted by 8 o'clock or so on Sunday morning. In the meantime, I hope that your Saturday is a good one and that we all get to enjoy this beautifully drier air and cooler air as fall is in the air. Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.